Hey gang, we're in here. Welcome on back to the Cade in another episode of Suckerpunch Sunday, where we go back in time and play a classic fighting or fighting platform-based game from the 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th generation. And for this week, we're going to go all the way back to 1989 and play what is easily one of the most ubiquitous games in the entire Sega catalog. And when I say that, I mean this game has been ported and adapted and redone and updated and revamped more times than I can count, than pretty much any other game that I may have profiled in this entire channel. We're going to play the original Golden Axe. Now, this game came out in Japan in January 1989, was released worldwide in May 1989, but did not, at least as far as arcades go, but it did not arrive on consoles until December 1989 in North America on the Genesis/MegaDrive. But when I say this game is ubiquitous, I mean after it came out in arcades and was ported onto the Genesis, it was also then reissued as an updated title on the Sega Master System. It was ported onto the Game Gear. They did an updated version of it for the Sega CD. It was on the Amiga, the Atari ST. It was even on the Commodore 64 way back in the day, as well as the IBM PC, PC Engine, the ZX Spectrum computer, and then later on in 2021, it was re-released as part of an expansion pack for the Nintendo Switch. It's even on iOS and Android phones now. It's part of the Sega Forever service. So, I mean, this game, you can find it pretty much everywhere. It was an enhanced remake, was reissued on the PlayStation 2. It's part of the Sega Ages line, and you can find it on the Xbox Live Arcade. But we're gonna play the daddy. We're gonna play the original one for two reasons. One, it's obviously it's a good fighting game, and two, I've never played it before. At least not on the Genesis version. I played it in the arcades back in the day, but I didn't play it all that much. Now, the story behind this game is that it is set in a fictional land called Uria, and it's not necessarily a high fantasy, but it is like a Conan Hyborian Age style fantasy story, where an entity known as the Death Adder has captured the king of the realm and his daughter, holding them captives in their castle. He also finds the Golden Axe, the magical emblem of Uria, and threatens to destroy both the axe and the royal family unless the people accept his subjugation. Three warriors set on a quest to rescue Uria and avenge the losses at the hands of the Death Adder. The first one is a dwarf named Gilius Thunderhead. He's from the mines of Wolud, whose twin brother was killed by soldiers of the Death Adder. The second is a barbarian known as the Axe Battler. He's known as Axe Battler, but he has a two-handed broadsword. He's looking for revenge for the murder of his mother. And the last is a longsword-wielding Amazon, Tyrus Flare, whose parents were also both killed by the Death Adder. So, I'm going to start out with Axe Battler. And we're just going to get moving here. Death Adder invaded the castle and has taken the king and princess prisoners. My good friend Alex will kill in the battle to defeat them and bring peace to the land is my duty. So your B button is jump, your C button is attack. And then otherwise you just roll on through and hack and slash away. Now, by comparison to a lot of other games that are in the Genesis catalog, I will say the graphics are fairly rudimentary. This is much more in line with, like Sega Master System graphics than anything else. That doesn't mean they're terrible. But there were a lot of games that came along further down the pipe. Wow, we already got taken out. We're only 2 guys in. That had far better graphics. Now, if you hold the B and C button together, you get that spinning slash attack. Okay, we got some magic here. But we're getting sandwiched in and we're not able to get... Really? There, put this guy down. The hitbox on this is terrible. Now, they did do 2 sequels. They did Golden Axe 2 and Golden Axe 3. That's the first thing I'm noticing, is that the graphics aren't as good, and the hitbox to be able to tag opponents is next to nil. Hold still. There we go. So even with a longsword, like, I'm barely able to hit these guys. For a considerable amount of damage. There we go. Now we can ride on this guy and have him do the same thing that they were doing to us earlier. Alright, picked up that one hammer brother, body slammed him, picked up the other one, body slammed him. Wow, he kicked me once and that was an instant kill. Alright, took one of them down. And he took me down. Okay, we're through that level. And we get the magic bottles back, but I haven't been able to figure out what those help me do yet. So supposedly Axe can cast earth spells. But this has yet to really tell me how I can. I only got 2 credits left. Ah! Okay, so I hit my A button and that cast the spell and blew them all up. Something that would have been helpful yesterday. It's my dragon. I say it's my dragon. Okay. So drop the earth spell. I didn't manage to get very far. That jump attack seems to be helping me more than anything. Ah! I don't want to get surrounded. Wow. Okay. So I got 1 credit to go here. Finally put her down. But I'm sitting here trying to get this lady off of this dragon and she won't go. Like, I simply can't hit her. Alright, so now if I just stay here and keep hitting her, she tries to get back on the dragon. But of course she ends up killing me. The dragon runs off. And we finally get through the level. We stock up on some magic. Okay. Now, the reviews for this game when it came out were actually really favorable for the Genesis version. Computer Video Games gave it a 95%, Game Informer 8.75 out of 10. Joystick, Mean Machine, Sega, Player One, and Raze all gave between 91 and 95%. So did Game Machines UK. Zero Magazine gave it a 94. Sega Pro gave it a 91. The only kind of disparaging ones were the Electronic Gaming Monthly gave it a 29 out of 40. Mega Action gave it an 82%. And then Sega Power also gave it an 82%. Really? So I had the dragon, and sure enough, no sooner do I get him than I run right after that gap and down through the bridge. Wow. I think that's game over. It is game over. Now, in 1991, PC Format named this game one of the 50 best computer games ever, describing it as, quote, deliciously animated, hacking, slashing, and generally wailing. In 1993, the ZX Spectrum version of the game was voted number 60 in the top 100 games of all time poll. In 1995, Flux magazine ranked it as 70th in their top 100 video games of all time, and in 1996, GamesMaster ranked the MegaDrive version as the 100th best game in their top 100 games of all time list. But when the game was reissued on the Sega CD in 1993, one of the reviews that came back saying was that it had become outdated in the years since its original release. I'm inclined to agree with that. But we're only 17 minutes in, so let's give this one more try here. And this time, I'm going to take the dwarf. And see if we can't do better. So we'll take Gilius Thunderhead. So again, his good friend Alex was killed in battle, so both Axe Battler and Gilius apparently have the same buddy named Alex. So the thing I already can tell with Gilius is that his axe has a lot better range on it. And the chances of actually hitting an enemy are now considerably better. And now that I know how magic works, that should make this a little bit easier to figure out. So Gilius doesn't have quite as much magic as Axe Battler had, but that's okay. Because if it means I can trade off the ability to cast spells, oh, I didn't want to do that. I didn't mean to cast that magic spell already, but that was a lot quicker. I'll give him that. So Death Adder is in his castle. We'll take a shortcut through the Turtle Village. So in some ways, this game reminds me of Gauntlet, which, if you're not familiar with that game, that is a classic NES game. But that is a top-down hack and slash game, whereas obviously this is a 2D side-scrolling game. But you still have a barbarian, a dwarf, and in Gauntlet you have a mage. But I get a similar... I get a similar vibe out of this. Ah! Thought I got her before she got back on the dragon. Now give me the dragon. Alright, I have a full complement of magic. That should be just about enough to take them out. Ah! My dragon ran away. Wow, that was a quick kill. Seriously? Wow. So I had 2 seconds to get on that dragon before these two bookended me and took me out. That's really annoying. I mean, it's not too uncommon as what I've expected in other games where you get specific stuff and then you only have for so long before you get overwhelmed by enemies and then you're forced to lose it. Like, we had that in Streets of Rage, we've had that in Fatal Fury, we've had that in a lot of side-scrolling games, so it's nothing new. It's just nothing if not really annoying in this game. Alright, put him down. Now, I lost the dragon. Oh, that's really tight. But I got a full complement of magic now. Took her out. Oh, I do not want to get bracketed by the Hammer Brothers here. Wow. Alright, so we got rid of the mid-bosses. And we got a full complement of magic back. Now, it doesn't surprise me that, like, most... Ooh, hello. Like most games of this era, they simply reconstituted sprites and recolored them in order to not have to use so much computing power and so much memory space to maintain all different sorts of enemies. That's nothing uncommon. Now, by modern standards, people would look at that and be like, well, that's a cop-out. Which you have to remember, back in the cartridge era, games like this had to be really, really frugal in their allocation of resources. And as a result of that, even though we had gone from 8-bit to 16-bit, the ratio wasn't as such like it is nowadays, where you have these truly gargantuan games in terms of memory and the amount of resources that are used. It was truly an era where game designers had to do more with less. So while you can look at a game like this and say it's repetitive and fairly monotonous in the bad guys you're fighting, it was either that or make a game so big that the processors at the time wouldn't have the means to actually be able to do anything with them. So in a lot of ways now, we're really spoiled, considering what we're able to have available to us in most games. Like, I've gone through and I've been playing the DLC for Elden Ring. And even without the DLC, I mean, all the stuff you get in that game... Well, we're at 20 minutes or we're at 30 minutes anyway, so we'll call it good here. But, like I was saying, the variations between what's available now in a game like Elden Ring and back then with Golden Axe, it's truly chalk and cheese. I mean, it's so different from what we had available now. But that, everybody, is the original Golden Axe from 1989 for the Sega Genesis / Mega Drive. And like I said, this game is so ubiquitous now, it has been ported over to pretty much everything. So, if you ever wanted to give it a try, pretty much, if you're on Xbox, like I said, it's on Xbox Live, it's on the PlayStation Network, it's on Switch. I'm playing this through the Fusion 3.64 emulators to play the original Genesis version of it. Question, though, is it a good game? I agree with the assessment that it did not age well. Bearing in mind, this is a 35-year-old game. And as I stated from early on in this, graphically, this is very much closer to the MegaDrive, or the Master System in terms of its graphics than the Genesis. A lot of games came along not long after this premiered that had better graphics, better mechanics, and I would imagine if you play Golden Axe 2 and Golden Axe 3, the difference would probably be considerable in terms of the graphic fidelity of those titles versus this one. Is it a game they could make today? Sure. And again, they've already done enhanced versions of it. They've kind of remastered it and revamped it a couple of times. And the issue, though, is that is there still a market and still an interest in these sorts of truly classic side-scrolling 2D platforms? I'm not suggesting there isn't, but by comparison to other stuff that is out there now of this type and of this genre, like I said, you've got Elden Ring, you've got Horizon Zero Dawn, you've got Dragon's Dogma, there's so many variations of modern 3D action hack and slash role-playing type of games that to turn around and have something like this be added to the mix now, I don't know how well it would go over. I don't think they can get away with doing it in the same 2D format. They might be able to, but they would have to probably do it in like a 2.5D style where they enhance the backgrounds and things like that, which seems to be the standard for most of these types of games nowadays, and it's not a bad thing. In fact, I know one of my favorite role-playing games of all time, Suikoden and Suikoden 2, I just found out are being revamped in that way for an updated release on the PS5 next year. And I'm going to be kind of interested in how those look. But, again, if you've never played this game and you want to go back and see what it was like 35 years ago when, if you never had a Genesis like I did and never got a chance to play games like this, or you want to know how your parents were able to play video games of this type, go give it a shot and let me know what your experience with it is. But that, everybody, is Suckerpunch Sunday for this week. Again, thank you for tuning in for both our ongoing playthrough of Super Robot Wars Alpha Gaiden and our ongoing Sports Saturday playthrough of trying to create the New England Patriots dynasty without the existence of Tom Brady on Sega Sports NFL 2K2 for the Sega Dreamcast. Because we are going to be on hiatus from recording new stuff in November, because again, as I've said, I have a really big side project that I am working on that's going to take up the greater majority of my time for that entire month. We are front-loading recording a lot of episodes now, so we're done recording all of our Sports Saturday stuff for NFL 2K2, and we front-loaded a whole bunch of new episodes for Super Robot Wars Alpha Gaiden. So hopefully that will be more than enough to carry us through November, so we will have new content we're posting every day, at least Monday, Wednesday, Saturday, and Sunday, as usual, but we won't be back recording brand new stuff until December. So in the meantime, watch this space, because we'll still have content to be going up during my time off to work on that project. Be sure to follow us on social media through Instagram and Threads around Arcade. Help spread the word about us as we continue to build this channel and make it bigger and better. Again, it's all about trying to get this community who loves video games as much as we do, and classic video games as much as we do. We don't have the newest stuff. We're not trying to be like everybody else who's getting frontline Steam games and stuff like that. Not dogging them, it's just we're staying in our lane doing this stuff. So if that's the sort of thing that you'd like to see, by all means, continue to spread the word about us. As the more subscribers we get, the more stuff we can do. And because it's been a while, if there's a game you would like to see us feature from the Nintendo Entertainment System, the Super Nintendo, Sega Master System, Sega Genesis, or Mega Drive, SNK Neo-Geo, Nintendo 64, Sega Saturn, Sega Dreamcast, PlayStation 1 or PlayStation 2, leave it in the comments below or drop me a line on social media. It could be any game from those consoles that you want. My name is Ron. It's been great to spend this Suckerpunch Sunday with you. Be safe, be well, happy gaming. We'll talk to you tomorrow as we jump back into Super Robot Wars Alpha Gaiden. Bye.